I successfully ran and finished several running races, including half marathons and marathon race too. But before I received a medal in the finish line in each of these races, I made all kinds of mistakes or bad decisions, especially before my very first race. Some of them are coming here from the training, some of them are made during the last week leading up to that race, some of them occur on the race day itself, or lastly, some of them are made during and after the race. So in this video I want to dive deeper into all the categories I've just mentioned, and for each of them I will share with you, in my humble opinion, the 5 biggest mistakes which if you avoid, you will have higher chance to finish your race well and also enjoy it without stressing out before or during the race. But without any further ado, let's go for a run in my brand new shoes and let's get into it. The first crucial mistake I'm going to mention is experimenting with your gear or nutrition on the race day. Because, especially with your first race, the last thing you want to do on the race day is experimenting with basically anything. The thing is that you should wear the clothes and shoes you know from the training and in which you feel good at. So what I highly recommend is modeling the race day timeline on your random weekend training run. For example, any long run you have on the schedule. That means that you will try to wake up and act like you have a race in the same time. This way you'll be able to try different stuff, for example, what breakfast you're gonna eat, what clothes you're gonna wear, or what energy gels and how many of them you're gonna consume while actually running. Because if something not ideal is gonna happen on that particular day, you're only gonna lose one training run instead of one race. So next time you'll be able to iterate for the next training run and then craft your best approach for the whole race. And I also think that thanks to this you will feel more calm and confident when the actual race day shows up in the calendar. The mistake number 2 is not having proper tapering before the race. And what that means is basically not giving enough time to your mind and also body to recover and rest after that often long training preparation. Taper week, as you can tell from the name, usually lasts between 5-14 days, and it's the time when you heavily decrease your running volume so your body can actually adapt the most from the training and also recover for the race. And I'm mentioning that in this video because sometimes just a few days before the race I can see people trying to catch their running form, or I can see them doing hard or long workouts in order to get better for the race. Well, the thing is, in that case, you won't get any better, and also you can actually hurt yourself for the race day. So make sure you have scheduled proper taper in your training plan and take it really easy this last week-ish before the race. So you can show up there full of energy and hype to give your best when the gun goes off. The third mistake, or rather recommendation, is to trying to find all the necessary information about the race in advance, meaning at home few days before. Because if you're at least partially like me and you like having all the controllables actually in your control, then this is the must thing to do. Let me explain. If you want to be less stressed during the days leading up or on the race day, then I highly recommend go through at least basic information provided by the race organizer. To be specific, I would recommend finding out all the details about picking up your bib before the race, what should be the weather like, how will you get into the city, where will you park your car, or how will you get to the start by public transport, and is the public transport adjusted or part of the city closed because of that race, or where exactly you can store your stuff in the provided lockers or changing rooms, where is your particular starting corridor, and so much more. And I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but again, if you want to minimize the amount of things which can go wrong, I would highly recommend being ready for all the organization part of that race as well. And trust me, I know what it's like to be running late to the starting corridor with backpack and all your stuff, and it's not a good feeling. The next mistake is truly a crucial one, and it is not having proper racing strategy which you will try to hold on during the race. So eventually you will end up getting influenced by other runners right from the start, starting too fast, and it will potentially hunt you down in the later stage of that race. This is truly a nightmare which you certainly don't want to experience, so instead I highly recommend preparing the running tempo you will try to hold on right from the start, even though you will see other runners passing you by like crazy. And you will probably see them walking while you'll be passing them in the later stage of the race anyway, for example during half marathon or marathon race. Hitting a running wall can be a really daunting experience, so in order to finish well your race, try to start slow. It is much better to send it in the late stage of the race rather than overestimate your fitness and struggle through your first race right from the start. The mistake number 5 is underestimating nutrition, which unfortunately is something I needed to learn the hard way too. The impact proper nutrition has on your performance and on how you feel is just crazy. Now I can't imagine to not focusing on such an important part, not only on the race day, but also in day-to-day trainings and life in general. So to put it shortly, besides your proper food intake, you should prioritize complex carbohydrates few days before the race, which is called carb loading if you want to find out more, and I think you definitely should. And then on the race, you should pull off your fueling strategy, which you should have tried out already in the training prep, as I mentioned in the very first point of this video. My go-tos which I can recommend are energy gels, which I take approximately every 30 minutes into the race. These Go gels are from BPN, and not only I found no stomach issues with them, but they still taste good even when you consume a lot of them. And you certainly do, for example during the marathon. Then there are electrolytes combined with carbs, which I drink before and during, as I usually sweat a lot. So these always help me to stay hydrated and on top of my nutrition, especially in the long-lasting physical activity, meaning running a race. And with that being said, make sure you will have clothes in which you can store all the gels and other for you necessary stuff. For example, I don't really like running with backpack and I prefer big pockets on my running tights, so I recommend finding what suits you the best. And once again, it's good to find this before you're already 15 kilometers into the first race. Also, I still have one more mistake to mention in this video, but in order to keep it straightforward and short, I've actually created a list of all the mistakes I've just mentioned with 10 more minor mistakes which can play a huge role too in your preparation for a first race. So feel free to check that out in the video description. It's completely free. It's a public Notion page. I don't want your email address in return or anything like that. My only ask is, if you find this video or that particular list of other mistakes helpful, just share it with me in the comments here on YouTube or give this video a like. It would really make my day. Last but not least mistake is not having proper training plan, which includes hard speed workouts, tempo runs and also strength trainings. And again, I needed to learn this one the hard way by actually making this mistake too. In my preparation for my first marathon, I didn't have enough speed workouts, meaning short interval distances being run really fast in my training plan, and that really slowed down my ability to run at fast running paces in my training runs or in the final race. So I highly recommend you finding yourself proper training plan from someone more experienced that you know, or from, for example, marathonhandbook.com, where you can find many different training plans from experienced runners. And that's about it. I'm heading back home. Good luck with your first race. I'm rooting for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.